Have you ever looked around your home and realized how much of stuff is simply taking up space, yet you can't bring yourself to part with it? Over the years, it's easy for clutter to accumulate. Old furniture, piles of papers, sentimental keepsakes tucked away in forgotten corners. But here's the reality. Before you reach 70, there are certain household items you need to let go of. Decluttering isn't just about freeing up space. It's about creating a home that feels lighter, easier to maintain, and more aligned with the life you want to live. In this video, we're highlighting 6 specific household items that may be weighing you down more than you realize. Whether it's things you've kept out of habit, outdated belongings that no longer serve a purpose, or objects that subtly add stress to your daily routine, you'll discover how letting go can bring unexpected relief. Most importantly, this process isn't about loss. It's about gaining freedom. By removing unnecessary clutter, you create a space that supports your well-being and enhances your daily life. So let's dive in and explore the 6 things you should declutter for a home that feels fresh, peaceful, and truly yours. Number 1. Outdated and unused furniture. One of the biggest sources of household clutter is old furniture that no longer serves a purpose. Over the years, it's easy to accumulate extra chairs, tables, cabinets, and other pieces that once had a function, but now just take up space. While they may have sentimental value or once been useful, holding on to furniture that's worn out or rarely used can actually create unnecessary stress. Think about it. Do you have an old recliner in the corner that no one sits in anymore? A massive dining table that hasn't hosted a family gathering in years? Or maybe a dresser with stubborn drawers that frustrate you every time you try to open them? These items aren't adding value to your life. They're simply filling space. And as you get older, an excess of furniture can even make it more difficult to move around your home, increasing the risk of bumping into objects or tripping over something in your path. Take Frank, for example. At 74, he had lived in the same house for decades, collecting furniture along the way, some inherited, some bought, some gifted. Over time, what once made his home feel cozy started to make it feel overcrowded. Walking through certain rooms became a challenge. Cleaning took longer, and he realized that most of his furniture wasn't being used at all. It wasn't until his daughter visited and casually pointed out that his living room had 5 chairs, but only 2 were ever used, that he realized it was time to declutter. Determined to simplify his space, Frank took action. He started with one room, letting go of anything that no longer served a purpose. The wobbly chair with the broken leg, gone. The oversized coffee table that made navigating the room a hassle, out the door. As he cleared each piece, he felt something unexpected. Relief. His home became more open, more inviting, and, most importantly, easier to live in. That's the thing about furniture. When it's functional, it enhances your life. But when it becomes just another object taking up space, it drains your energy and makes your home feel cluttered. You don't need a house packed with furniture to create a warm and welcoming space. In fact, the less you have, the more you appreciate what remains. If you're holding on to furniture you never use, ask yourself, when was the last time I actually needed this? If you can't remember, it's probably time to let it go. A home that is easy to move through, clean, and truly enjoy is far more valuable than a room filled with unused chairs, tables, or cabinets. Number 2, clothes you never wear. At some point, we all end up keeping clothes we no longer wear. Maybe it's a suit that hasn't fit in years, a dress bought for a special occasion decades ago, or a drawer full of old t-shirts that rarely see the light of day. But before you reach 70, it's important to take a serious look at your wardrobe and ask, do I really need all of this? A closet overflowing with unworn clothes isn't just about wasted space. It adds unnecessary clutter to your life. Clothing can carry sentimental memories. The jacket you wore to an important event, the jeans you once loved but haven't worn in years, the shoes you keep just in case. Even if you don't consciously think about these items, they're still there, taking up room in your home and, in some ways, in your mind. Many people hold on to old clothes because parting with them feels like letting go of the past. But here's something to consider. Your wardrobe should reflect who you are today, not who you used to be. Take Linda, for example. At 72, she had a closet stuffed with clothes, but she found herself wearing the same few outfits over and over. She had dresses from the 1980s, jackets that hadn't been touched in decades, and shoes that looked great but hurt her feet every time she wore them. Each morning, she stood in front of her closet, frustrated by the overwhelming number of choices, most of which were impractical. One day, she decided to change that. She emptied her closet and sorted everything into 3 piles. One for clothes she loved and wore regularly, one for clothes that no longer fit or felt comfortable, and one for items she was keeping just in case. That last pile was the hardest to deal with, but as she started letting go of clothes she hadn't worn in years, she felt a sense of clarity. She realized that she wasn't losing anything. She was gaining space, peace of mind, and a wardrobe that actually worked for her lifestyle. That's the beauty of decluttering your clothes. You're not just removing fabric, you're simplifying your daily routine. You make it easier to get dressed in the morning, easier to find what you love wearing, and easier to move through life without unnecessary baggage. And the best part? Someone else could benefit from the clothes you no longer need. Instead of letting them sit in your closet, why not donate them to someone who would actually use them? If your wardrobe is overflowing with clothes you never wear, ask yourself, do I really need this? If it doesn't fit, isn't comfortable, or hasn't been worn in years, it's time to let it go. At this stage in life, you deserve a wardrobe that works for you, not one that overwhelms you. Number 3, expired medications and old toiletries. One of the most commonly overlooked sources of clutter is likely sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now. Expired medications and old toiletries. These items tend to accumulate without us even realizing it. Maybe you have a bottle of pain relievers from years ago, half-used prescription medications you never finished, or skincare products you bought but didn't really like. Before you know it, your drawers and cabinets are overflowing with things you no longer use, and some of them could even be unsafe. Medications expire for a reason. Over time, their effectiveness diminishes, and in some cases, they can even become harmful. Holding on to old prescriptions just in case might seem harmless, but if you ever need that medication again, it's always best to consult your doctor for a fresh, up-to-date prescription that's appropriate for your current health needs. Yet so many people unknowingly keep bottles of expired pills that no longer serve any purpose other than taking up space and posing potential risks. The same goes for toiletries. That old bottle of lotion you haven't touched in years, the half-empty sunscreen from who knows when, or the perfume you stopped wearing a decade ago. These products don't last forever. Many people don't realize that skincare items and cosmetics have expiration dates, and using them past their prime can cause skin irritation or even infections. Still, we keep them, telling ourselves we might use them someday. But let's be honest, if it's been sitting untouched for months or years, it's unlikely you ever will. Consider Robert, a 75-year-old who takes pride in keeping his home organized. One day while searching for a bandage, he opened his medicine cabinet and was shocked by what he found. Bottles and boxes he hadn't touched in years, expired painkillers, half-used tubes of antibiotic cream, and even a prescription for a condition he no longer had. It was all just sitting there. When he finally took the time to go through everything, he was surprised at how much he had kept just in case. But as he cleared out the old medications and toiletries, he felt a sense of relief knowing that everything left in his cabinet was actually safe and useful. That's what many people don't realize. Decluttering your medications and toiletries isn't just about tidying up. It's about safety. It's about making sure you have what you actually need and letting go of anything that no longer serves a purpose. When you clear out expired medications, you make room for the ones you truly rely on. When you get rid of old toiletries, you simplify your daily routine and ensure that everything you use is fresh and effective. If you haven't checked your medicine cabinet or bathroom drawers in a while, now is the time. Look through your medications. If it's expired, dispose of it properly. If it's a prescription you no longer need, get rid of it safely instead of letting it sit. As for toiletries, be honest with yourself. If you haven't used it in over a year, you probably never will. Let it go and enjoy the simplicity of keeping only what you truly need. Number 4, old papers, documents, and unused mail. One of the most common types of clutter, and one of the easiest to ignore, is paper. Over the years, it piles up in drawers, stacks on tables, inside old folders, and even in boxes tucked away, just in case. From outdated bills and expired warranties to instruction manuals for appliances you no longer own, the sheer amount of unnecessary paperwork in most homes is staggering. If you're approaching 70, it's time to take control of it. Paper clutter isn't just about taking up space. It can also cause stress. Think about how frustrating it is to search for an important document, only to dig through stacks of papers that should have been thrown away years ago. Or how overwhelming it feels when unopened mail piles up on the counter, making it seem like you're constantly falling behind on something. The reality is, most of the papers we keep are no longer necessary, and letting go of them can bring an unexpected sense of relief. Take Barbara, for example. At 73, she had an entire filing cabinet filled with documents dating back decades. Old utility bills, receipts from forgotten purchases, even tax returns from the 1980s. These papers had been sitting there for years, serving no real purpose. One day, as she struggled to find an important insurance document, she realized just how much of her paperwork was outdated and irrelevant. Determined to regain control, she decided to sort through everything, keeping only the documents that truly mattered. By the time she was done, she had reduced her paperwork by more than half. And for the first time in years, she knew exactly where to find what she needed. That's the key. Decluttering your paperwork isn't just about making space in your home. It's about clearing mental clutter too. When you eliminate piles of mail, stacks of outdated documents, and folders filled with unnecessary papers, you free yourself from the stress of constantly feeling disorganized. And the best part? With today's technology, most important records can be accessed digitally, meaning you don't need to keep physical copies of everything. So how do you get started? 1. Sort through your paperwork with a critical eye. If it's something you haven't looked at in years, chances are you don't need it. 2. Shred old bank statements and expired contracts. Sensitive information should be disposed of securely. 3. Recycle manuals for appliances you no longer own. Most user guides are available online if you ever need them. 4. Keep only the essential legal, financial, and medical documents. Organize them in a way that makes them easy to access when needed. And when it comes to mail, stop letting it pile up. Junk mail? Toss it immediately. Bills? Pay them and file only what's necessary. Newsletters or magazines you never read? Cancel the subscriptions. The goal is simple. Only keep the papers that truly serve a purpose and let go of the rest. A home free of paper clutter isn't just easier to manage. It also gives you peace of mind knowing that everything you need is organized and within reach. Number 5, kitchen items you never use. The kitchen is one of the most cluttered areas in any home. And over time, it's easy to accumulate items that serve no real purpose. Cabinets packed with mismatched containers, drawers overflowing with utensils you never touch, and old pots and pans gathering dust. Sound familiar? If you're approaching 70, now is the perfect time to clear out the unnecessary kitchen clutter, making your space more chaotic than it needs to be. Many people hold on to kitchen items out of habit. Maybe you have a set of fancy dishes you've been saving for a special occasion that never comes. Or perhaps you own small appliances that seem like a great idea when you bought them, but have barely been used since. You might even have multiple versions of the same tool, several spatulas, stacks of coffee mugs, or a drawer full of plastic lids with no matching containers. But here's the reality. A kitchen filled with unused and unnecessary items doesn't make life easier. It makes it harder. Take George, for example. At 76, he had lived in the same house for decades, and over the years, his kitchen filled up with gadgets and cookware he rarely used. There were blenders, food processors, and toasters sitting untouched, plates and glasses stacked high in cabinets, drawers crammed with tools he didn't even remember buying. Every time he needed something, he had to dig through piles of clutter just to find it. Then one day, after knocking over a stack of unused baking sheets while searching for a pan, he realized it was time for a change. He made a simple but effective decision. He would go through his kitchen, one section at a time, and ask himself a single question. Do I actually use this? If the answer was no, it went. Duplicates? Gone. Expired spices and pantry items? Tossed. That bread maker he used once and never touched again? Donated. By the time he was done, his kitchen felt like an entirely different space. More functional, more organized, and most importantly, easier to use. That's the key. When you let go of kitchen items you never use, you create a space that works for you, not against you. Cooking becomes simpler. Cleaning takes less time. You no longer feel overwhelmed by cluttered countertops and stuffed cabinets. You don't need an overflowing kitchen to prepare good meals. You just need the essentials. So take a look around your kitchen. Open your cabinets. Check your drawers. Ask yourself, when was the last time I used this? If it's been years, if it's just collecting dust, if you're only keeping it just in case, it's time to let it go. Because a kitchen filled only with what you actually use isn't just easier to manage. It makes daily life smoother, more enjoyable, and stress-free. Number 6, sentimental items that no longer serve you. One of the most difficult categories of belongings to declutter is sentimental items. These objects, old letters, gifts from loved ones, souvenirs from past vacations, or boxes filled with memories, carry emotional weight, making it challenging to let them go. However, before you turn 70, it's important to reflect on whether these sentimental possessions bring you joy or if they are simply taking up space in your home. Many people keep sentimental items out of a sense of obligation or guilt. A gift from a late relative, birthday cards from decades ago, childhood keepsakes from your kids or grandkids. Each of these items holds a special memory, but as time passes, these mementos can accumulate, turning into overwhelming clutter rather than cherished treasures. The truth is, memories don't reside in objects. They live within you. Holding on to an excess of sentimental belongings doesn't honor the past. It only makes the present harder to manage. The emotional struggle of letting go. Take Helen, for example. At 78, she had spent a lifetime collecting sentimental objects, letters from friends, trinkets from various travels, and keepsakes from different stages of her life. When she downsized into a smaller home, she realized she had an entire storage unit filled with things she hadn't looked at in years. The thought of parting with these items was daunting. She worried, what if I forget the memories attached to them? What if letting go feels like erasing a part of my life? But Helen decided to take a different approach. Instead of keeping everything, she became selective. She chose a few deeply meaningful items: her wedding album, a handful of heartfelt letters, and a small collection of souvenirs that still made her smile. The rest she let go. She donated things that could be useful to others, took photos of items she wanted to remember, and gradually released the objects that no longer served a real purpose in her life. And then something unexpected happened. She felt relief. Many people don't realize that decluttering sentimental items doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means making space to fully enjoy the present. It means keeping what truly matters and letting go of the excess. Most importantly, it means surrounding yourself with things that bring you happiness rather than items that weigh you down. Practical ways to declutter. Sentimental items. If you've been holding on to sentimental belongings that feel more like a burden than a blessing, here are some strategies to help you let go while still preserving the memories. 1. Keep only the most meaningful items. Instead of holding on to every letter, every souvenir, or every keepsake, choose a small number of items that genuinely bring you joy. A single well-loved object can hold the same emotional value as an entire box of memorabilia. 2. Digitize memories and take photos of sentimental items before letting them go. If you have old letters or documents, scan them and save them digitally. This way you can preserve the memory without the physical clutter. 3. Repurpose or display items. Instead of keeping sentimental objects boxed away in storage, find creative ways to incorporate them into your home. A quilt made from old t-shirts, a shadow box of meaningful trinkets, or a scrapbook of letters can be a great way to honor memories without overwhelming your space. 4. Donate or pass items. Down if an item no longer serves you but may be valuable to someone else, consider donating it or passing it down to family members. A piece of jewelry from a grandmother or a cherished book can take on new meaning when shared with loved ones. 5. Give yourself permission to let go, or remind yourself that letting go of an item does not mean letting go of the memory. You don't need to keep every physical representation of a moment to remember it. The true value of decluttering. As you go through this process, ask yourself, do I need to keep every single sentimental item to remember the people and experiences that shaped me? Or can I hold on to the memories in my heart while freeing up space in my home? At this stage in life, the most valuable things are not the ones collecting dust in a storage box. They are the ones that bring you peace and joy every single day. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this discussion, take a moment to reflect on the 6 household categories we've covered. Decluttering before you turn 70 isn't just about making space. It's about creating a home that feels lighter, easier to manage, and more in tune with the life you want to live. Each item you let go of isn't a loss. It's a step towards simplicity, clarity, and peace of mind. Which of these 6 categories stood out to you the most? Do you see these items in your own home? Have you already started letting go of furniture that no longer serves you? Have you realized how much easier life would be without the clutter of old papers, unused kitchen items, or sentimental objects that no longer bring you joy? Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about freedom. We'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. What's one thing you learned today, and how do you plan to apply it to your life? Your insights matter, and we encourage you to engage in this journey with us. If you found this discussion valuable, please like, subscribe, and share this content with others. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in the next discussion.